Okay, here we go. So here's the patch notes. Man, this is going to be a long one probably. Yeah, this is a big list of patch notes. I was not expecting this much from this league. Um, yeah, the mechanic looked pretty simple, and it looked like yeah, they had way more than I thought. So yeah, this is pretty awesome actually. So I'm assuming, to save a little bit of time, that most of this is just, hey, their usual spiel. So let's go ahead and hop here. Sorry if I missed anything there, but yeah. So, new gym, Plague Bearer. We've seen the new gyms and other stuff. I'm really interested in all the poison stuff, like Plague Bearer, Withering Step, Cobra Lash. Definitely probably going to be my league starter. There's a bunch of poison stuff. Typically, it's been very pricey and hard to start, but I'm pretty hyped for it. They're adding a bunch of new stuff. Cool. Minor new content features. Let's go real quick. I was trying to skim this with my eyes. Okay, yeah, cool. So yeah, okay. That's stuff we know. Luckily, nothing. I don't think I really skipped there that we haven't seen. Minor new content and features. Second set of keybinds accessed by holding control by default. Though this can be changed. Pretty legit. I can't wait to start playing around with that. I always, with some of the melee builds, my Cyclone included, I would have loved to use a few more Vol skills. This is going to be huge for a lot of these builds that you have like 10 Vol skills you want to use because they also have the normal skill in your build or something. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for this. I cannot wait. Updating the art Flask base type, cool. Added new mods that can appear in Flask. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. That'll be cool to see. Don't know what those are, but yeah. Audio cues for various events. Canceling a trade. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. The confirming of a trade sometimes is kind of awkward when you're like trading a flask because they just don't make a sound. So, yeah, I'll take it. And fully clearing the bedded pool. Oh, failing to identify items. Kind of interesting. Added more labyrinth enchantments for skills. 2 new Grandmasters. Shield charge now uses your equipped shield, including any cosmetic applied to it for this effect. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's see. You can now use up to 2 helmet enchantment cosmetic. Okay, yeah, we've seen that. Cool, cool, cool. Atlas mission changes. Okay, so we've seen a lot of this already. I didn't really cover it, so won't too much in detail. So let's go over it again, just for, yeah, why not? So pretty much we're getting, once you've unlocked the Atlas, you will now earn 1 Atlas mission for each master per day. Oh yeah, also they've changed some stuff too. So yeah, let's see what the hopefully final result is. There are not assigned to specific maps, but are assigned to specific map tier colors. White, yellow, and red. You must log into the account to receive these missions. I heard that was a thing. I was hoping that was a rumor. This is kind of disappointing that they're doing it this way because the whole thing was for people who didn't want to log in every day, and now you got to log in every day. So, I mean, could they do like a grace period of a week maybe? Because that is a problem. I am definitely going to be doing something. I want to try to be as vocal as possible about this because I'm going to be on pretty much every day. So it doesn't really affect me too much. I know they were thinking about the, people making 50 accounts and the consequences for Nico, but I mean, give us a week. Give us a grace period of a week or something. Like, surely that's, it'll work for 7 days, and then you got to get on once a week. Because that's pretty much what a lot of people I've been talking to have been like, oh, this is great. I can get on once a week, and it's awesome. Now, yeah, my friend's going to be really disappointed when I tell him this one. So, yeah. So more missions can be earned by completing maps. Each time you complete a map, typically by killing the map boss, you'll have a chance to earn an Atlas mission. The chance to earn the missions this way has been significantly raised. You'll encounter random masters in maps less frequently. Cool, we know that. Accumulated Atlas missions. Simply talk to the associated master, your hideout, and okay, then it will use your own map device, which is pretty cool. There's no limit to the number of Atlas missions that can accumulate, so there's no pressure to run the missions as you get. Which I know that was one of the things, but man, I thought that it was logging on every day wasn't a required thing, but bummered. Legion mechanics added to the core game as a new possible incursion room. Okay, yeah, that's right. This is some cool stuff. Yeah, so we got a new Legion room, which is pretty legit. As a rare delve encounter, as a random encounter within the Atlas. 10% chance at reaching Abyss. In addition to above ways for Legion monoliths, you can now find Legion uniques in chest awarded leaks restricted items. That's cool. Vegan now has a use. Hallelujah. Vegan's not completely useless anymore, and you can get Legion Scarabs, which I'm guessing they'll just add it to the fragment tab. In Fortification, he awards a set of chests that can be found in Legion encounters, which is pretty legit. So, Vegan. Fog. Never thought that was going to happen. Unique items found that can be found exclusively from Legion encounters as 3.7. They'll only be found from... Wait. Again. Unique items that can be found exclusively from Legion encounters as of 3.7 can still only be found from Legion encounters and the related rewards sources above. Okay, cool. There we go. No big deal. Let's see. Changes to Legion mechanics. Item rewards within the domain. Okay, this is the timeless thing. They've front loaded the rewards, which is pretty cool. Quantity of items per emblem used in 2 emblem encounters as in 5 emblem encounters. Approximately the same quantity. Well, that's kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about that one. Surely there's going to be something weighted with the jewels, though. Afflicted by the... Oh, okay. Removing the effects of the light. Okay, ignite. Okay, that's what that is. Wider variety of rewards can now be found in some incubators. That's cool. Really, that's a nerf because, yeah, a lot of the incubators were giving crazy stuff that they probably shouldn't. But, yeah, I've got so many random 6-link uniques. Kinda silly. Summoner rebalance. We've done a sweeping balance pass on everything related to traditional summoner gameplay. Yeah, it's the sun. And in most cases provided substantial buffs and added new features to help summoners keep up with other playstyles. Many sources of additional maximum minions have been moved to the skill gem, which is pretty cool. Now, what about the tree stuff? I really want to see the tree changes. All minions have received substantial increase to their accuracy, hit stuff. Cool SRS buff there. Finally. We've added and improved many minion passive skills on the passive skill tree. We've also added many new skills to help summoners control and manage their minion army. Oops, see above. That's funny. There have been many more changes to techniques and rare items, so we'll have to see that. I know one of the things was the Boots of Uller is changed, so that's pretty cool. I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but it seems pretty legit so far. But we'll see. Mine rebalance. In this patch, the reworked mines from the ground up, they are now thrown. They can be detonated anywhere, and first mine you detonate will detonate instantly. They've detonated multiple mines. They are detonated in an accelerated sequence. All mine skills except those supported by blast chain mine support now have a aura component where they reserve mana. Each mine you throw now reserves a flat amount. Aw, man, I was hoping this would be percentage. Because the flat amount is just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. And therefore affected by support gems, I guess, but I mean, at that point, that could be a problem. We've got a rebalance section on the passive skill tree, mana rebalance. Broad look at the mana, which, so as far as characters with little investment in mana and characters that almost singularly invested into mana, they've made it easier to get in mind over matter stuff going pretty crazily, so we'll have to see exactly what the changes on the nodes are. Last vestiges of mana leech available to spellcasters are pretty much gone. We want mana to be a caster equivalent of accuracy, something for which I think that's pretty cool. I like that. I really like this change. I'm pretty hyped about it. As long as they do it right and we're able to do mana flask and they work well, I think it's a good change. I'm really looking forward to trying out casters with mana flask now. Character balance, sources of non-element damage over time multiplier of all damage types have been replaced with damage over time multipliers that also affect damage from elements. Pretty legit. This has resulted in changes to some values on items, passive skill tree, so we'll see exactly what this is, but this sounds pretty silly as far as just how much damage we're going to get out of some of this stuff for poison, knights, etc. Added a new type of modifier which grants additional levels all gems, certain types of items. So this is or of certain types, sorry, on items. As opposed to only gem socketed, which I think this is a cool change. You can have stuff, well, right here, I think this is going to say it. These modifiers are primarily found on caster and summoner items. Okay, never mind. But you pretty much, for casters, you would have it in a staff and do things like that, and you wouldn't, like certain builds, you wouldn't want to have your chaos gems, for instance, in your chest for your main damage, unless the chest had some kind of crazy plus, you know, double corruption kind of thing going on. Skill reworks. Freeze Mine, now named Icicle Mine, and yeah, these kind of sound pretty cool. Pyroclast Mine has been completely reworked and now is a... So deals. Okay, so here we go. We're actually getting into some of the damage numbers here. So let's look at these. 16 to 24 cold damage at gym level 1. 514 to 771 at gym level 20. This is for the Freeze Mine, or sorry, Icicle Mine. Base mine duration is 0.3 seconds. Fires 4 additional projectiles at gym level 1, 6 at 20. Each mine applies 10% increased critical strike chance to hits against enemies near it, up to a maximum of, whoa, 500%. That is insane. Fires additional projectiles for every 2 prior mines. Wow. Okay, so this could get pretty insane for anything from bossing to just map clear. Actually, this is pretty crazy. With the ability to throw mines too and how they work, you can get some pretty easy builds for Poly Grandmasters now. All existing Freeze Mine skill gems are now Icicle Mine skill gems. Okay. Here we go. 26 to 39 fire damage to 240 to 361. So if this still does some kind of pulsing effect, that's pretty good. Up here, this agrees with the way it sounds. It's insane damage with how mines work now. If this still pulses, that's pretty good. Base duration. Fires 2 additional projectiles. Okay, I guess this is a projectile thing. Detonation sequence. Oh, this is pretty much the same thing, only fire. What this sounds like. Each mine applies 1 to 2 fire damage to hits against enemies near it, up to a maximum of... Oh, here we go. So this is where it gets OP. That's pretty cool. By gym level 20 is 64 to 96. Each mine applies 12 to 18 fire damage, up to a maximum of 601 to 901. Yep, there it is. That is insane. Okay, all existing. Okay, they've changed. Cool. Skill balances. All auras you cast, Wrath, Hatred, etc. now have a base radius of 40 from 36. That's pretty cool to compensate for changes to aura radius on the passive skill tree. Ah, okay. The radius of Flesh and Stone now has base radius of 28 from 24. War Banner and Dread Banner are up to 46 from 40. And Aura Gem qualities have had their up radius up twice as much. So 2 to 4% for one quality. Pretty cool. Several damage over time only skills such as Righteous Fire, Contagion, and Death Aura from Death's Oath can now break barrels and other objects throughout the world. Ooh, that's pretty legit actually. I am really hyped about that change. That's one of my favorite changes in the patch notes so far actually. That's pretty good. Specific skills, here we go. Body swap. So no longer requires a corpse to use, but gains significantly benefits if it does consume a corpse. Huh. That's interesting. They're now cost 8 mana at Gem 1 and 23 at 20. Now has a cast time of 0.7 seconds, so it's up 0.1. Has a base critical strike chance of 6%. Now deals 3 to 5 fire damage at 1. So, yeah, hardly any damage potential on this thing. Plus 3% of your maximum life. Okay. Well, that's actually kind of cool. As fire damage at all gem levels. Now has 300% more area of effect if consuming a corpse. Ooh, so you could actually use it if you have a huge amount of life. Be interesting. Explosion from the corpse now deals 6% of the corpse's base maximum life. So you get 6% of the corpse. Corpses have more life now if you're doing the corpse thing. Plus 3%. You get a huge amount of explosion damage here. I wonder if you could make a viable ignite build with that. That'd be a pretty cool idea to try. Or just have some kind of unearth and just keep popping this thing off. Because, yeah, that radius is that's a pretty big deal. Okay. And they added the damage effectiveness to 70% rather than 100. So, I guess this would be a life stacking kind of build, possibly. Gym level or something. Bone Offering now has a duration of 5 seconds from 3, with an additional 1 second per corpse consumed, up to a maximum of 4 corpses from 8. Okay, so that's pretty much just the same amount of time then, so that's not bad. Chaos Golem Cascade will now converts 100% of physical to chaos. That's pretty cool. And has a larger area of effect. Sandstorm skill now deals more damage at higher levels and benefits from modifiers to golem spell damage. Clarity now grants you and nearby allies additional mana regeneration up to 33 mana per second, and it was at 17. That is legit, dude. Wow, I am pretty hyped about that actually. So Convocation now is just cooldown of 3 seconds. Now recovers a percentage of minion maximum life rather than a flat value, starting at 0.7% at gym level and 1.65% at gym level 20. That's pretty good actually. Contagion no longer gains additional radius. We heard about that. Re-rip. Cyclone. Yeah, in this patch we wanted to reduce some Cyclone's enormous range and make it feel less penalizing to use a one-handed weapon with Cyclone. Actually, didn't people use a lot of one-handed weapons? They had the range on it though. Anyway, now has a base range of 11, which the base range of 11 kind of buffs face breakers, which is pretty cool. All about that face breaker build. No longer gains additional radius based on melee range. Now grants 8% increased area of effect per 1 additional melee range. Now deals 5 to 8 added attack physical damage at gym level 1 from 10 to 15. Oh yeah, that's right. They pretty much have to. Yeah. Now adds 1 radius per stage, rather than +1 to melee range, and now gains 1 stage every 0.2 seconds while channeling, rather than based on your attack time. Huh. And then you lose stuff a bit slower. I mean, that's still really fast. So Desecrate now has a corpse limit of 10 from 15. Oh man, okay, that's kind of ripped. Now has a cast time of 0.6 from 0.8, and now has a duration 4 seconds from 5. No longer has a cooldown, which is the biggest part. So you can spam it once real quick, and boom, you've got the corpses, and then rinse, repeat. Is this a nerf from Spell Cascade? Can you actually deploy corpses? Do they disappear from Spell Cascade? Does it have 5 corpses per area that it gets placed? Something like that. Dominating Blow now has a 25% chance to summon a normal sentinel of dominance when you hit a unique monster from Temper. Okay, cool. Dominating Blow buff, that's pretty legit. They just need to fix how it feels to hit, which I did make a video on that. Still adamant that that would be a very good fix for skills like this. Summon Sentinels can now use Crusade Slam regardless of ascendancy. Previously required specific Guardian Notable, which is pretty legit. Now you can kind of do whatever build you're going to do with those. So that could be kind of an interesting buff to some builds who were trying to use that on, well, I mean, I guess Necro. I don't know if too many people were trying anything else, but yeah. Explosive Trap now deals more damage as the gym levels. Level 1 up to 309 to 464, so it was 420. Cool. The buff now gains additional radius at as the gym levels, so +2 at 20 from yeah. It was +4, now it's +6. So buff there. I mean, this was really a strong trap already, so I don't know if it really needed a buff, but I guess it's just underused. But I mean, it's already strong, so I don't know how I feel about that buff. Let's see, Fire Trap. Is this a buff or a nerf? Oh wait, that's right. They did nerf some traps too, so that's why they're buffing these. Never mind. Okay, I'm crazy. Fire Trap. Buff for 966 on the top end from 862, and the fire damage per second also buffed to 1832, which is pretty nice for the multiplier that they've put in. So I might make a chieftain fire trap. That would be pretty fun. I think that would be a pretty legit build, actually. Flame dash, getting buffs. I don't know how I really feel about that. I mean, I guess if you're doing like I said, the chieftain thing there, that could be kind of an interesting thing. Work flame dash in, get another source of a huge ignite or something. Sure. I'd be curious to see how a full flame dash, like souped up plus to gym levels flame dash, how fast you could travel, and could you actually clear with nothing but flame dash these days. Flesh Offering now has a base duration of 5 seconds from 3. For 1 second per corpse consumed. Cool, that's pretty much the same thing that the other one. Now applies a visual effect above the player while it is active. Thank goodness, hallelujah, that's what I was asking for. Flesh and Stone now has 20 gym levels from 6. No longer reduces all damage from non-blind enemies, and instead reduces damage from attacks from non-blind enemies. Oh man. You now take 9% less damage from attacks from non-blind enemies at gym level 1 from 10 and up to 11%, same as previous maximum gym level. Enemies maimed by this skill now take 13% increased physical damage at gym level 1 from 14%, up to 16% at gym level 20, same as previous maximum gym level. Now gains more cooldown recovery speed as the gym levels, up to 50% at gym level 20, previously 13% at maximum gym level. Herald of Purity. Summoned Sentinels can now use Crusade Slam regardless of vicinity. Previously, this required a specific Guardian. Notable. Ice Shot now has 2 to 3 added attack full damage at gym level 1, up to 75 to 113 at gym level 20. I was hoping they would do this with these skills, because I felt like they had the same problems as melee skills in that regard while leveling. I kind of was hoping that it would be physical damage that then you could convert. Hopefully they'll do that across the board at some point. But Ice Trap base radius has been increased at all levels. Wow, that's kind of insane actually. The medium circles gain +2 and the small ones gain +1. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about maybe trying Ice Trap after that. Like, it's been increased how many times so far? But yeah, that could be a interesting build. Lightning Arrow, same thing as the Ice Shot, and now gains a 1% chance to shock per 1% gym quality. That's actually pretty good. Lightning Golem. Damage dealt by the lightning projectile by approximately 40% at all levels. Be kind of interesting to see if we get a solid lightning golem build. That'd be pretty cool. I'd be up for that. Race Spectres now has the set level. I mean, we've kind of seen this gym already, but let's just see what we get for numbers here. You get small additional accuracy and large additional accuracy. No longer modifies the life, energy shield, or damage of minions. That's kind of a bummer. Wait. Actually, was that Actually, is that a buff? That might have actually been a buff for the damage part, but I thought they got a boost to life and energy shield maybe. I'd have to look at that, but that might be a buff with the damage, because I can't remember if they actually got reduced base damage. Now allows you to raise additional specters at the gym levels up to 2 maximum at gym level 20, and more at higher gym levels. So leveling the gyms to get more stuff is pretty legit. Same thing with the zombies, I think. Alright, gym level 20 previously set to 3. Okay. But the one thing with the raised specters though that kind of concerns me is what level does it start at, because specter cheese leveling was actually kind of cool. So I don't know how I feel about that. Raise zombies. This is one of my skills and one of my builds that I'm probably going to be checking out. Probably my second build. Now grants your minions more life as the gym levels, up to 30%, 38% more at gym level 20. Previously none, which that's crazy. Now grants increased cooldown recovery speed for your zombie slam, which is awesome. Up to 76% at 20. Okay, that's not as awesome. But if you use 2 of the threshold jewels, that should help that. Perfect. Okay. And then I already read the 7. Reckoning now deals 115% of base damage at gym level 1 from 91%, up to 175% at gym level 20 from 140%. Now adds physical damage to it. That'd be pretty cool. I know on my Face Breakers build back in the day I would use some of these skills like Reckoning and stuff in Riposte, so might get to use these again. Righteous Fire, so they said they changed this, so let's see what we got here. Now deals 35.8 base fire damage per second at gym level 1, up to 1,541 gym level 20. Enemies now burn for 20% of your maximum life and energy shield per second as fire damage at all gym levels. I wonder how this is going to really affect. Like, are you going to stack as much anymore? I mean, obviously, if you're probably going to still be a tanky character while using it, but I wonder how that's going to. Is this a huge nerf to, say, like the energy shield guardian kind of thing? So we'll have to see how that works out. Riposte, percentage buff, pretty solid percentage buff, and you get 56 to 85 flat damage. So again, same kind of reaction as Reckoning. Stone Golem, slam attack now has a cooldown of 4 seconds, which is actually pretty cool because that slam also taunts enemies. So that's actually a buff for not only having it do an attack. Scorching Ray, oh no. Come on, please. Please be a buff to this, and I will make my ability height. This is a nerf, I'm going to be really sad. It's probably a nerf, but here we go. Now deals 11.7 base damage at, yeah, from 13. And 439. Ouch. But again, if they're adding so much multiplier to the tree, then overall it's going to do more damage. Just sad to see the number go down on one of my favorite skills. Scourge Arrow clarified the piercing behavior on the gym. Cool. Searing Bond modifiers to spell damage now also apply to the skill's damage over time. That's pretty cool. Smite now gains additional radius as the gym levels. +2 overall. That's cool. Smoke Mine. Now this is a teleport mine kind of thing, apparently. So now grants 20% increased movement speed at gym level 1, 29% at gym level 20. Now it has 2.5 second cooldown and can hold up to 3 uses. Now gains increased cooldown recovery speed as the gym levels up to 57%. Now gains increased area of effect as the gym levels up to 76%. Increases and reductions to mine duration also apply to the skill's movement speed buff duration. Only one mine of this type can be detonated. Each sequence now shares a cooldown with other link skills. Cool. Spectral Shield Throw. Projectiles created from the shield explosion now carry with them the projectile properties of the original shield projectile. Behavior at the point of explosion. This is important for things such as Gloomfang or Point Blank, which care about chain count. Huh. That's interesting. That could be... like, do they just kind of explode right now and pierce? Kind of thing? Interesting. That could be a huge buff if I'm understanding that correctly. Yeah. Spirit Offering, probably getting the same thing. Base duration, 1 second for 4 corpses instead of 8. You gain 4% life as extra energy shield per corpse consumed. From 2, okay. So that is a buff. They double that. Cool. Split Arrow now deals 100% of base damage at gym level 1, 90, and up 10% at level 20 as well. Now fires additional arrow as the gym levels up to 8 additional arrows, up from 6. Summon Raging Spirits. Minions now target the enemy that the target's pointed on. Cool, where the mouse is. Summon Skeletons. Now summon 2 Skeleton Warriors per cast from 1. Now summon more Skeleton Warriors per cast at the gym levels, as the gym levels up to 3 at gym level 20. Maximum limit as the gym levels up to 8. That 5 before. Vengeance, same thing, getting I think the same flat fizz and a huge amount of percentage damage. Cool. At 20. Viper Strike. Is this a nerf or is this a buff? Please be a buff. 90% of base damage at gym level 1. That is a buff. 135 from 130. That is a buff at 20. You now uses both weapons if you attack while dual wielding, but has 30% less attack speed if dual wielding. That's weird. Each weapon now hits separately if dual wielding, dealing 20% less damage. Huh. Kind of like a weird dual strike thing. Kind of cool, I guess. I don't know, I'm gonna have to play around with the math on that one to actually figure that one out. I think that's a buff overall, though. I think that's actually a huge buff overall. You have the same weapon, that is. Yeah. Vol skill balance. Vol Cyclone now has a base radius of 24 from 13. Now No longer gain additional radius based on melee range, so pretty much the same thing across the board on it. Cool. Ball Immortal Call. Now prevents soul gain, active and cannot have. Modifiers to Vol soul cost now work consistently with how modifiers to mana cost work. Namely, they now calculate the total amount subtract from the cost rounded down. Oh, okay. Resulting in instances, so previously calculated the new cost of the skill and then rounded down to result in no cost. Ah, that was a problem. Okay, support gym reworks remote mine support. Now causes supported skills to deal 35% less damage at gym level 1, up to 25% at gym 20. Mines now last 5 seconds from 16. Supported skills have a base mine detonation time of 0.25 seconds. Supported skills now deal 5% more damage for each prior mine detonation sequence. So it looks like we got a lot of, or the next one's a mine. Oh, okay, cool. And then, not my biggest thing for mines. I don't know if I'll try them. I might dabble in them a bit, but who knows? We'll see. Supported skills can now, and this is minefield, have up to 4 additional remote mines placed at a time. Supported skills throw up to 4 additional mines. That's pretty cool. Supported skills have 65% less mine throwing speed at level 1 and 60% less at 20. Minion and totem elemental resistance support now call elemental army support. Okay, so this is the got a mana multiplier of 130%. Minions supported by this now have plus 19 to all elemental resistances at gym level 1 up to 29% at gym level 20. Minions from supported skills now inflict exposure on hit, applying minus 10% to the elemental resistance matching the highest damage taken by the enemy. Minions from supported skills now deal 20% more elemental damage at gym level 1, up to 29% more at gym level 20. Now grants 0.1% additional maximum elemental resistance per 1% quality. Kind of interesting that they're taking that away from totems. I really only used it though on like my 4-link totem. Not the biggest deal there. So let's see, what do we got next? Reduced mana support, now called inspiration support. Ooh, okay, so they're just getting rid of it, I think. You spend mana from supported skills, maximum of 5 charges. Lose all inspiration charges after spending a total of 120 mana with supported skill. Up to 800 at level 20. Supported skills deal 5% more elemental damage per inspiration charge at gym level 1, up to 8% at gym level 20. Supported skills have 7% increased critical strike chance per inspiration charge. So you lose all inspiration charges after spending a total of with 800 mana with supported skill. Now gain an inspiration charge when you spend mana from supported. So if you get 5, that's 25 more elemental damage. Or sorry, 40% more elemental damage at 20 and 35 crit. Oh, at level 1, 10% at, and then 50% crit chance at 20. It could get pretty easy. So you get like what, 3 attacks at max charges and then it drops? I don't know how I feel about that. Wait. Oh, okay, I get it. So what you can... no, I don't know. It got me right now. That doesn't seem that good. Unless I'm missing something there. I don't know. I don't know what build I would use that on. I end up spending mana all the time. It would just be like a couple of hits and then boom, I'm buff over. And even then, I don't know, unless you're doing some kind of big crit hit maybe for an ignite or something. But the more damage wouldn't apply to the ignite. So I don't know. Unless you're doing some kind of big hit thing. Maybe a flame blast. Unless each little tick of mana. Never mind, that would. I don't know. I'm trying to think. How would I use that? Support gem balance. Advanced trap support now grants supporter skills 50% increase cooldown recovery speed. Up to 107. Very cool. Ancestral Call support. Supporter skills now deal 18%, 90% less damage at gym level 1 from 25% up to penalty to no penalty. Ooh, that is amazing actually. Yes, sweet. Charge trap support. Skills now have 15% to critical strike multiplier per power charge when used by trap. Supporter skills now have 10% increased trap throwing speed per frenzy charge. So that's a buff overall. I guess this is to compensate for the less trap kind of thing. I kind of want to figure out the final numbers on traps here because I feel like traps kind of gotten drafted the past couple of patches, and that big nerf of not having the gloves. I mean, it's cool that if they get it right, you won't have to itemize for it, but I feel like they could be doing it wrong. Fortify support now deal more damage with all elements caused by melee hits, whereas previously it was just bleeding and poison. Ooh, melee fortify ignite? Yes, please. Mana leech support now only causes supported attacks to leech mana. And there's the last mana leech gone. Minion life support now has a mana multiplier of 130% from 140%. Actually, this mana leech thing was one of my ideas to fix it by using some other cast when damage taken kind of thing. Yeah, that looked pretty good, but I don't know. Cool. Let's see. Minion life support now has a mana multiplier of 130 from 140. Cool. Minion speed support skills now have 25% increased minion cast speed at gym level 1, so 34 from 19. Wow, that's a huge buff, and 34 from 19 with their attack speed and lower mana multiplier. Cool. Multi-strike support. We've already seen the final product of this. Up to 10% at gym level 20 from 30% less damage at all gym levels. That's really nice. And then the repeat, you get more damage, but the thing is, it's all kind of your earlier hits deal more, so pretty cool. I like it. Let's see, what do we got next? Poison support, supported skills. Now deal 20% more damage with poisons at gym level 1, 39% more at gym level 20. Pulverize support skills now have increased 25% increased area effect rather than the multiplicative more. Rip on that. So I don't know, but they deal 40% or 59% area damage at the top end. So I mean, now it's just if you got an area skill, you're gonna take that over melee fizz, where it was kind of a I don't like that. I really liked how it was adding that substantially more damage or more area for the less damage, whereas you could take anything else and get more damage if you could use it over it. So I don't know. Maybe nerf the damage a little bit and kept the area. Other than that, it does. I don't know. This just doesn't feel like at this point. It's like you want the more damage, you take the pulverized, and it gives you area. By the way, so I guess it's kind of better overall, but there's no opportunity cost for it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Trap support. Trap throwing speed now scales up to 19% 10. Now deal less or increase trap damage as the gym levels up to 38% at 20. Unbound elements. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got here. Increased duration of elements on enemies. up to 54% at Gym 20, so 10% on that. Increased effect of non-damaging elements on enemies up to 34%, 4% increase on that. And now deal 25% more damage with elements at Gym level 1, up to 34% from 30, so 4% on that. I don't know. Not convinced on Unbound Elements. Sometimes Unbound Elements does give you more damage, but yeah, still not the most convinced on using that over everything. Vicious Projectiles, 40% more chaos damage over time at Gym level 1, up to 59%. That is pretty legit. Physical damage over time at Gym level 1, up to 59%. And this is 10% overall, so we're getting the 59% over 49 as the physical damage as well. That is huge for something like a Doomfletch build, so I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. Let's see, now we're getting into passive tree balancing. They've added a lot of new passives to the passive tree in this patch. Rather than list out what each of the dozens of new passives contain, we've listed the cluster notable names below. So the following new clusters and the notables, so that doesn't really tell us much other than what we could guess, so I'm going to ignore that for now, and I'll probably do a passive skill tree video if I can get to that. I kind of want to go over, because I think Scorching Ray will be pretty good, and I did like my Freezing Pulse build, so I'm probably going to try to do those two videos if I can tomorrow. We'll see if I can get to it. Yeah, tomorrow, pretty big day of trying to get stuff done. I also gotta get some work done myself, so yeah, we'll see. But anyway, back to this. Mortal Conviction now specifies that only non-banner, non-mind skills reserve no mana. Okay. Interesting. Perfect Agony now causes modifiers to strike. Okay, yeah. Critically strike multiplier to apply to damage over time multiplier from elements from critical strikes by 50% rather than 30. Insane. Elemental Overload now causes elements to never count as being from critical strikes. Previously caused elements from critical strikes to have no damage multiplier. That's interesting. Master of the Arena, Brinkmanship, Bonebreaker from Spectres and Maces, and Smashing Strikes from Staves. Now each grant +2 to melee weapon and unarmed attack range. Previously +1. Pretty cool. That's actually kind of cool for certain cases like sweep and stuff. Whereas, again, I feel like that's a compensation thing from Cyclone Nerf. Cleave from axes and claws. Now each grant +1 melee weapon range and unarmed attack range. Okay. Oh, cleaving from. Okay. So they've given pretty much everything a plus to the melee and unarmed. Got it. Leadership now grants 30% increased aura area of effect from 50%. Champion of the cause now grants 12% increased aura area of effect. All small passive skills, which previously granted 20% increased aura area of effect, now grants 12 increased aura area of effect. The Alchemist cluster near the Witch has been removed, and its flask effect modifier spread across the passive tree, in particular near the Ranger. Okay, cool. I'll take it. I'm kind of curious to know what all the nodes do, but I'll take it. The Utmost Might cluster has been moved south, and now is next to the Bloodless cluster. Okay. That's the big strength. The Utmost Intellect. Okay, cool. Those are been moved east. I can deal with that. Get where the Dex one. Is it a problem? Maybe it wasn't. Guess not. And 13 new notables revealed on only when you obtain them through anointing. Oh, that's kind of cool. Where they pop up. That's going to be kind of interesting to see. Ascendancy balance. Ascendant Necromancer now causes your offerings to have 25% reduced effect on you from 50%. Auras from your skills grant 2% increased attack and cast speed. Your ally, ooh, from 3%. That's a nerf. Interesting. If you consumed a corpse recently, you and your minions now gain 30% increased area of effect. No longer grants 20% increased skill effect duration. Saboteur now causes your damage to penetrate 8% of the enemy's elemental resistances. You can now regenerate 1% of your life per second for each mine detonated, up to 10 from 20. Okay, so they're making them weaker versions. I don't know how I feel about that. Overall, I guess fair enough. Now grants the 0.75 to critical strike chance from 1. Now grants 10% chance to gain on kill. So more defense, less offense. Again, don't know how I feel about that one. That's the problem with the Ascendant. It's either too good or not good enough compared to the original. So yeah, feels pretty bad sometimes, and then feels amazing others. Guardian now grants you and your allies onslaught while there are at least 5 nearby allies. Huh. That's actually kind of interesting. Berserker Warbringer now grants you and nearby allies 20% increased attack speed if you were cried recently from 10%. That is a buff. Now grants 50% chance to deal double damage if you were cried recently. That's pretty legit. Flawless Savagery now grants 50% increased critical strike chance from attacks, 80%, and 25% chance to critical strike multiplier from 30. Nerf. No longer grants 1% chance to deal double damage. They just Warbringer now. Rite of Ruin clarified that only the inherited effects from having rage are triple. Chieftain. So they no longer grants 15% more burning. Now it's 25% to fire damage over time multiplier. That's pretty legit. Guardian. Okay, so I was kind of confused on this, but I think this is where this is going to come from. Has been reworked. Now grants nearby allies 30% increased damage, 50% increased attack and cast speed, and movement speed, 30% increased area of effect. It causes nearby allies to intimidate and unnerve enemies for 4 seconds. On hit, enemies that are unnerved take 10% spell damage. And this is 20% to all elemental resistances while they are at least 5 nearby enemies. You and nearby enemies have onslaught. That is amazing. So that's pretty cool. So it's kind of like, what is this? So Hierophant, here we go. This is something I'm interested in. No longer grants 150 to maximum mana. Now grants 30% increased maximum mana and causes increases and reductions to maximum mana to apply to damage at 30% of their value. That is amazing. Now grants 50% less mana cost of skills rather than reduced. No longer grants 50% reduced mana cost of skills while at full energy shield. Now grants 20% of maximum mana as extra maximum energy shield from 30%. Oh, and 1% increased area effect for 50 unreserved maximum mana up to 100%. So that's pretty cool. Raider got a bunch of small stuff. Again, I don't think it's enough, but now grants 20% increased frenzy charge duration from 15. Avatar of the Slaughter, 4% movement speed from 3. And 50% increased onslaught area effect, previously onslaught duration. Or did I say area effect? Onslaught effect. Way of the Poacher now grants +1 to maximum frenzy charge. Avatar of the Slaughter now grants +1, no longer grants the +1 to frenzy charge, but now grants 8% increased evasion per frenzy charges, 3% increased movement speed from the 2%, 8% increased attack damage per frenzy charge from 3%, which that's actually pretty good, but again, I still don't think it's enough. Force Infusion now grants 10% chance to dodge attack hits from the 6, and 40% increased elemental damage. They just moved the elemental damage from the Avatar of the Veil. Now causes nearby enemies to have fire, cold, and lightning exposure. And while you have phasing, applying -15% to those resistances. Rapid Assault now grants 5% to chance to evade, and Avatar of the Chase now grants 30% increased attack damage during onslaught. 30% more chance to evade melee attacks during onslaught from 25, and 30% for projectile attacks from 25. Saboteur, Bomb Specialists. Didn't really look into this one too much, so I'm kind of curious what these changes are. No longer allow you to have up to 2 additional mines placed at a time. Now grants 4% increased area of effect for each mine, and grants your mines 20% increased detonation speed. Guessing from the way they've been reading so far, that's actually really good. Also grants 20% increased throwing speed if you detonated a mine recently. A Demolition Specialist has been completely reworked. It now grants 100% increased effect of auras from mines and causes mines to hinder enemies near them. That's pretty cool. For 2 seconds when they land, reducing enemy movement speed by 40%. Pyromaniac now causes you to regenerate 1% of your life per second for each mine detonated or trap triggered recently, up to 10%. Oh, okay, so they did nerf that on this. There's a nerf actually on the Saboteur itself rather than just on the Ascendant. Okay, cool. Now grants 20% reduced mana cost of skills that throw traps, and 20% reduced mana reservation of skills that throw mines. That's actually pretty good for the mine thing. Explosive Expert no longer grants increased area damage, reduced damage taken from traps or mine hits, or elemental resistance penetration. Now grants 30% increased area effect from 20%, 8% reduced area damage taken from hits, plus 30% to critical strike multiplier against burning enemies, 80% increased critical strike chance against shocked enemies, and causes damage against chilled enemies to penetrate 10% of elemental resistance. Oh, that's actually cool. Yeah, using a 3 mine or 3. Wait, is that a mine or trap? Mine hit. That's a mine thing. Interesting. So I guess we can get a similar mine build to that, like 3 different trapper. Only now it's just 3 different elemental miner. Trickster Ghost Dance now grants 3% to chance to evade while you have energy shield from 5%. 2% reduced damage taken from 3, and when hit causes you to lose Ghost Shroud and recover energy shield equal to 4% of your evasion rating from 5. Still nerfing that. Feels kind of bad. Assassin Toxic Delivery. I mean, I've already went over this. I'm really hyped on this. Yeah, tons of stuff coming here. The Mistwalker, I'll go ahead and just do that. That's the elusive thing. Critical Strike. Yeah, you 50% chance to gain Critical Strike on elusive, or elusive on Critical Strike. Critical Strike on elusive. 20% increased attack and cast speed while elusive. 8% reduced damage taken while elusive. 25% increased elusive effect. You take no extra damage from critical strikes while elusive. Deadly Infusion no longer grants +1 to maximum power charges. Now increases movement speed by 10% while at maximum power charges. Unstoppable Infusion now grants +1 maximum power charge. Opportunistic no longer grants 100% increased damage while there is only one enemy nearby, nor causes you to take no extra damage from critical strikes while there is only one enemy nearby. Now grants 20% more damage multiplicative, again, while there is at most one rare or unique enemy nearby. Also reduces damage taken by 10% while there are at least 2 rare or unique enemies nearby. That's pretty cool. That kind of helps with Uber Elder fight. So, I like it. Kind of started going backwards through this, but overall they moved some of the stuff around from Toxic Delivery and Noxious Strike, which is the big ones here. I'll go over those and move on. The crit that you get from it got moved, and then the life recovery got moved. So, still there, just, yeah. But the main thing is also grants 25% to damage over time multiplier for poisons, and 50% increased damage with poison. And now causes poisons you inflict with critical strikes to deal 50% more damage from 30%. Slayer, 7.5% instead of 8% on the crit from Overwhelm, and Bane of Legends, 10% increased attack speed instead of the 20%, and that's with movement speed as well. Necromancer, lots of changes here. Lots of new stuff, which is cool. The biggest changes, and I guess the biggest stuff to go over, I'm kind of going to summarize this one rather than reading it all. Looks like they've buffed the Mistress of Sacrifice, where you got the offerings. It's 25% reduced effect rather than 50%, so Necromancer block builds coming back. We have a new setup for consuming corpses to help defense, essentially with mana regen, and energy shield regen per second for corpses you consume. We have a corpse damage type thing where they cause more damage if there's a corpse nearby. I believe that's the Plaguebringer one. Bone Barrier, curious to see what Bone Barrier actually does, but that's a huge amount of defense. +2 to all minion gems is a big deal. And then they have a general damage node for just their stuff. They have a corpse damage node, so that you're probably going to want to stuff like Dead. Yeah, so it looks pretty cool. Elementalist, Liege of the Primordial, now causes your summon golems to be immune to elemental damage regardless of golem type. That's pretty legit. No longer grants element prevention based on types of golems you have summoned. Now grants 35% chance to avoid elemental ailments per summon golem. And also grants 25% increased effect of buffs granted by your golems per summon golem. Stacks with Liege of the Primordial, identical stat. Beacon of Ruin now also grants 30% increased effect of non-damage elements on enemies. Kinda cool. That actually brings that shock back up. I don't know how I feel about that, but like it's like they wanted to nerf it, but now they're like, hey, by the way, here you go. I like what it does with chill and stuff, so I'm all for that. But if they wanted to nerf the shock, yeah. Occultist, Withering Presence now grants 20% to chaos damage over time multiplier. Was previous non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. Small passive leading to the notable. I have had some had the same treatment. Vile Bastion now also causes you to regenerate 40 energy shield per second. Okay, big item balance changes for unique items and alike. Okay, let's see. Several daggers are now classified as rune daggers. Daggers can no longer roll caster. Related modifiers, while rune daggers retain their old mod generation behavior. What? I thought this was already a thing. Oh, daggers can no longer roll a caster-related modifiers, while rune daggers retain their old mod generation behavior. Oh, that's what. Okay, got it. Same thing with the war staves. Got it. Okay. Finally hit me. Took me a second. I'm tracking. Spectres are now identified as a separate class to one-handed maces. Huh. That's kind of cool, I guess. Elder and Shaper gloves can no longer have the +1 thrown traps and mines. Weapon modifiers that add maximum mana have had their values raised across the board. That's pretty cool. Stabs in particular can now be found with modifiers that add large quantities of maximum mana. Existing weapons may be updated to new values. Stabs cannot. By using a divine word. Sorry. Wands, scepters, staves, rune daggers, and pure intelligence shields can now roll modifiers which affect all levels of gems of a certain type. And the fact that they said pure intelligence shields, that is amazing. Wow, that's pretty OP. Not gonna lie, that's pretty OP. Because like really dual wielding wand shield was not the best thing. Now, or sorry, instead of dual wielding using wand shield was not the best thing, but now this looks pretty legit. I'm digging it. Non-element chaos damage over time multiplier is just chaos damage over time multiplier in effect element. Cool. Daggers and rune daggers, Kadao roll modifiers to chaos damage over time multiplier. Pretty cool. Duels now roll physical damage over time multiplier modifiers. Huh, that's kind of interesting. Belts can now roll mana prefixes. Power rings can now have 20 to 30 mana at their implicit rather than 25 at the top. Items with the Metodals prefix, they grant +1 to levels of trap skills. Now also apply to mine skills. Okay. No longer can appear on one-handed weapons. Mana flask at all levels have been rebalanced in general. They will recover more mana over less time than previously, and no longer and have more uses. They can also roll several useful new modifiers. The +1 lightning. Okay, so this is the weapon vendor recipe. Now instead grants weapons with added damage of that element. For spells, I don't know how I feel about that. And the chaos variant has just been removed. We'll see how that helps. I don't know. I'm not exactly convinced. Hopefully it goes up enough that the added damage is actually significant at early levels to kind of help. I know later you typically would want to have a 4-link, especially for races, but if this is a big enough nerf for early racing, this could be a point for other things to come up in racing. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. The Labyrinth enchantment for Desecrate, which granted increased cooldown reduction, now instead grants increased duration. Same value. Oh wait, yeah, because they got cooldown. Yeah, never mind. Cooldown's gone, so that's cool, I guess. Labyrinth boot enchants, which granted life and mana leech. If you killed recently, now it's just life leech, mana leech. Boot enchant, which previously granted life and mana regen. If you have been hit recently, now instead just grants life regen. Wow, that one's pretty rough, actually. Helmet enchant for tornado shot, they went down to 1 instead of 2, so fair enough. Existing ones are unaffected, so that's cool. A new set of labyrinth boots, which grant increased mana regeneration rate. Okay, if you cast a spell recently, that's kind of cool actually. Resonators can now stack. Woot. Okay, and primitive resonators can stack to 5,000 in the currency tab. Woot. The glass shank base type can no longer roll caster modifiers. A number of accuracy modifiers for minions have been added to the mod pool of both Abyss and Ordinary Jewels. The added lightning damage modifier with the prefix name Heart Stopping has been renamed. Okay, cool. I don't think there's anything too crazy there on that. New set of modifiers for intelligent-based armors, which grant added energy shield and mana. Actually, using a bound fossil to create boots will no longer grant +1 maximum number of specters. Fair enough. +1 level of raised specter gems is what it does instead. Essence of Zeal now grants increased trap and mine throwing speed. The Avenger's Flask prefix now grants 5 charges when you take a critical strike for 3. That's pretty cool. Thinking about doing a block build for Holo Grandmasters, and it uses nothing but Avenger's Flask. Of Craving and of Gluttony modifiers can no longer appear on Flask. That's what I think it is, then I'm completely okay with that. Increased mana modifier available on jewels can now roll between 8 and 10% increased mana from 6 to 8. Minion damage modifiers from all tiers of Essence of Fear have been significantly increased. Existing items can be updated to their new values with a Divine Orb. Essences of Rage, Spite, and Sorrow no longer provide additional levels to socketed gems and instead grant resistance penetration to the associated element. That's kind of rip. Yeah. We'll see how some of this plus stuff feels with some of these changes, but yeah, I used to use those to craft some pretty cool stuff that sold for decent prices. Just saying. Unique item balancing. The following items now affect all spells of certain type rather than just the socketed items. Kieran's Shiver, which I think is the one that I want to use possibly in my Old Snap build. See how that feels. I might try playing around with that. Cane of Unraveling, Zergle's Crank, and Consuming Dart. The Zergle's Crank one is actually pretty legit because I really would get more benefit out of hopefully having some better chess piece with it, so kind of like that change with the Zergle's Crank thing. Agnorod Staves, I don't really think anybody uses those for anything, so unless they get buffed, yeah, sure. I mean, I still don't see a reason that you would use them anyway. Obviously, you would never use the staff itself to socket something, but still. Okay, Brutal Restraint can no longer modify passive with 8% increased area effect of Flask on you, instead granting 8% increased effect of non-unique Flask on you. Huh. Interesting. Watcher's Eye can no longer gain percentage of cold and chaos damage over time multipliers while affected by malevolence. Instead, now it's just the percentage damage over time multipliers. Cool. This affects all versions of the item. Awesome. Oh, the mana cost, while affected by clarity, now specifically applies to non-channeled skills. The mana leech, while affected by wrath, is now energy shield leech. While affected by wrath, these two changes do not affect existing items. Poet's Pen now triggers socketed spells at the end of an attack rather than at the start. Now has a cooldown of 0.15 seconds instead of 0.25. Doomsower no longer causes socketed red gems to gain 10% of their physical damage as extra fire damage. Instead, causes attack skills to gain 5% of physical damage as extra fire damage. For socketed red gem, ooh, that's interesting. Huh. At least a good 20% on most of those builds. Also causes you to have Vol Pack while all socketed gems are red. With the anointed stuff, you could do Doomsower, Vol Pack, Cyclone, I guess, something. And take the Void life, the big life leech node there right next to Vol Pack. And then you can get that with the anointed, and boom. Then that saves you quite a few points going in that direction. That's actually pretty cool. That's an idea for some random build. Star of Ray class no longer grants illusionary warp and instead grants level 10 Frostblink. Now also grants 50% increased duration for Frostblink. Existing versions of the item are unaffected. Ashcaller now no longer grants added fire to attacks, instead grants 15 to 25% fire damage over time multiplier. That's pretty cool. This only affects new versions. The Divine Orb, you can change it. Cool. Blasphemer's Grasp no longer grants element damage per. Yeah, now this is the one I'm really excited about. Per Elder item equipped. Now this is a multiplier per Elder item equipped. So I'll probably be checking those out. Chain of Unraveling. Non-element chaos damage over time, just chaos damage over time multiplier. I'm actually really curious to see if some of these changes will affect type of spellcasting poison thing, or if that's going to even be a thing. The Searing Touch no longer grants 70% increased burning damage, now grants 40 to 60 increased fire damage over time multiplier. Holy shit, Searing Touch is back, ladies and gentlemen. Beamers of the... Hang on, go back. Searing Touch is back. Wow. That was one of my favorite stabs back in the day, using the Searing Bond totem, dude. Like, I'm gonna have to be checking out the Searing Touch again. Pretty legit. Okay. Beamers of the Saint no longer causes your minions to regenerate life, nor does it grant increased minion attack cast speed per skeleton you own. Increases minion duration per raised zombie, or increased minion damage per raised specter. It now causes minions to deal 60 to 80% increased damage and grant 1% chance to block attack damage per summoned skeleton, 2% chance to increase attack and cast speed. Oh, I finally realized what the thing was. Is that thing with like the skull on the top? Is that huge thing? Yeah, sorry. 2% increased attack and cast speed per summoned raging spirit, and 0.6% of life regenerated per second per raised zombie, and 30% increased mana regeneration per raised specter. Cool. This Mortis no longer grants +1 of raised specters, or grants your minions Unholy Might when they kill an enemy. Now causes minions to gain 15 to 20% elemental damage as extra chaos. Coated Shrapnel no longer grants additional fizz for traps and mines, now has a small radius, and causes passives in the radius to also grant added physical damage. Okay, that's actually cool, because that's I don't know how much the base damage was, but 2 to 3 to 4 to 6. That's actually could be pretty legit. Fortified Legion no longer drop, has been replaced by a new unique item which uses the same art. Gonna have to look back and figure what that one is. Apparitions can no longer drop. Violent Dead can no longer drop. whatever that is. Side breath, whatever. No longer grants physical attack damage, leeches mana, causes minions to deal 5 to 9 to 11 to 15 additional cold damage. I don't remember what a couple of these are. Whoops. How much I've used them. Oh, actually, it really shows how useful they were. Healthy Mind now is a limit of 1. Bones of Uller. No longer grant increased maximum, so now it's just +1 to the gems for zombies and specters. Jaws of Agony no longer grants level 25 Bear Trap. This affects all versions of the item. However, the values of existing versions will say otherwise. Queen's Decree now causes minions to have 30 to 40% increased maximum life, up from 10 to 15, and deal 30 to 40% increased damage from 10 to 15. That is insane. I can see a lot of the Queen's Decree stuff. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal. And Queen's Hunger no longer causes offering skills to have 25% reduced effect on you. Midnight Bargain. Please be a big buff here. Now causes minions to have 20 to 30% increased movement speed and deal 50 to 70 increased damage from 10 to 30 existing version. Okay, that's it. Well, I mean, that's cool, I guess, but hoping it didn't like wreck your life all that much for reserving stuff. Arcali's Fang, the spider summon with this item now take up less space and have phasing. Cool. Combat Focus now also applies to Wild Strike. That's actually kind of cool. Barrack's Grip no longer grants 1% of damage leeches mana. Figured that was coming. Instead grants Energy Shield Leech. Cool. Tempered Flesh, Transcendent Flesh now grants +7% to critical strike multiplier per 10 unallocated strength in the radius from 5%. Tempered Mind, Transcendent Mind is 125 accuracy rating per 10 from 100. Dead Reckoning now turns 15 skeleton warriors into skeleton mages from 5 and is limited to 1. From Dust now allows you to summon 4 additional skeletons at a time from 2. Existing versions of this item can be updated with a Divine Orb. Blood Bond, the Blood Offering skill now has a base duration of 5 seconds from 3. Needs an additional second per corpse consumed, so this is other, okay, corpse stuff, same thing, awesome. Curtain Call now increases mine detonation speed rather than mine arming speed. It reduces mine throwing speed rather than mine laying speed. Cool. Now requires that you have at least 800 intelligence or dexterity to throw up to 1 additional mine. Tremor Rod, what do they do here? No longer causes you to deal 35% less mine damage. No longer grants increased mine laying speed. Now grants +2 levels of socketed spell gems. This does not affect existing items. That is pretty legit, actually. And it was already pretty much the go-to kind of thing to use. So, yeah, I like it. Crafting changes. Added fire damage over time multiplier crafting option. That is pretty legit. Is unlocked when cold damage. Okay, cool. Veiled Flask modifiers can now only be unveiled once. There we go. Got it. For the Veiled Flask, you just unveil it once. You only need one. Mortal Syndicate member specific recipes now require half as many unveilings to be unlocked. That's pretty cool. Crafted trap and mine throwing speed modifiers now grant higher level or higher values. The mana cost reduction craft modifier, aka Elrion's, has been split into 2 separate modifiers, one for channeling and for non. Kind of interesting. You can no longer craft a mana cost reducing modifier onto an incursion mana cost reduction ring. Rip. I know I was taking advantage of that. The hybrid life and mana crafted modifiers have been split into flat life and mana regen, and flat mana and life regen. Re-added the flat energy shield craft modifiers for rings and amulets that mysteriously vanished. Funny. Huh. Oh, labyrinth traps now deal 90% less bleed damage to minions. That's pretty cool, actually. Monster changes, accuracy rating. Okay, they changed the accuracy rating so that it, with decent investment into evasion, you're not screwed now. So, too much accuracy on monsters for at 3.7. Incursion changes, rebalance the life regeneration temple-wide modifier. Cool. Nothing too crazy there. Betrayal changes. State of your betrayal board is now shared across all characters. I really like that change. Upon completing the mastermind encounter, wait. Also, let's check that just in case they did the same thing here. Mentioned above, you can encounter Legion-themed rooms. You can now find items. Okay, cool. Those are still individual. I'm good with keeping that individual. Upon completing the mastermind encounter, you'll now have access to a reward room for every single Mortal Syndicate member currently with a job on your board, including prisoners. That's essentially up to 14 rooms worth of rewards, plus a mastermind themselves. And since it's across all characters, you can just get these done and keep doing your thing. However, I really like that. So I agree with that change at this point. It hopefully makes it feel rewarding enough to actually do the mastermind rather than just keep cycling through the rewards as is. Azerite Mine and Sulfite changes. Your Voltaxic Sulfite is now shared across all characters. That should help out a lot of things. There's still a hard upper limit of 65,000 Sulfite characters that are merged to standard at the end of the league will bring their Sulfite with them up to whatever your highest maximum Sulfite limit is. The tunnel Nico digs for you based on your character level is now also shared league-wide across all your characters. At most, be 6 levels behind your highest level character until you reach level 68. Previously, it was 15 levels behind by the time you reach level 68. That's actually kind of cool. I like starting a bit deeper. Outstanding. Dynamite is now instant while moving. That's cool. Finding the Legion encounters. The rate of level growth for monsters within the Azerite Mine is now faster, requiring significantly fewer depths to hit the maximum monster level. I love that. Outstanding. Cool. Prophecy changes. Can create Tempest in an area, can no longer trigger in the Shaper's Realm. Map changes. If you're lucky, he's on a wall for 5 map missions. This would be the boss encounters from Synthesis. Cool. Atlas of Worlds. Shuffled, as always. You'll now appear in your hideout rather than town if you die to the Elder or one of its guardians. Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for this. The Beast of the Pits now moves more quickly. Cool, don't really care about that. Fighty boss. Okay. Breach Lords now have more appropriate life values, such as those from Pure Breach Stones. That's actually pretty cool. I'll take more boss life in those encounters. Yes, I will cover the Zana stuff. Calm down, mouse. Breach domains now have higher monster density, and they move quicker. That's pretty cool, actually. The bosses of the lair and Dark Forest maps will now spend more time in their human form between transformations into wolf form. Thank goodness. That got a little silly half the time. I'd end up running around not doing anything for 5 minutes. Zana mods, here we go. Really big thing I look forward to every league. Please tell me Harbinger's on it. Please tell me there's yeah, well let's just go through them. I like Abyss on this too. Favorite Brave. Same tier. On Elder War Bands. Ooh, that's kinda interesting. In War Bands, huh. Abyss, like it. Ambush, Bloodlines, Nemesis, Breach, and Harbinger. I know a lot of people will be sad that Beyond's not on it. Yeah, so I guess a lot of people will be doing the Breach and stuff. I like when Harbinger's on it. It definitely kind of helps out for the Scorching Ray build that I always do and stuff like that. So we'll see how that feels. But I don't know. I do kind of like the Beyond thing. I am gonna miss double Beyond. So I wonder if the price of Headhunters is gonna drop because of that too. It'll be interesting to see how that gets affected, especially with the Legion stuff. User interface improvements. Invite and party kick is up top. We've seen that. Added slots to the Harbinger orbs, ancient orbs, orbs of binding, engineering orbs to the currency stash tab. That is amazing. They're invisible until you add one of the currencies. But that is amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Stack size of apprentice coins is even higher. I will take that. Added slots to the Legion. For Legion splinters, emblems, and scarabs to the fragment stash tab. Against the display values greater than 9,999 of buff icons. Pressing the hide button in the help panel now disables the flashing help panel icon. Multiple different timers displayed at once, meaning be able to track how much time remains in completing your incursion. That's pretty cool. When there was a timer, that always got really weird, but I like that. Atlas search has been improved. You can enter the value to find all maps of that tier 2. Notification now displays how much favor you've earned upon completing a master mission. Not my biggest thing, but I know some people will like that. You can now scroll between stash tabs by holding control and using the mouse wheel, which is pretty much what we already can do with the macro. So yeah, cool. That's nice. What I already do, and nice that they just added it to the game. Cool, cool stuff. Improve the information displayed when you attempt to import a hideout. Haven't really been doing that. Add warnings when you attempt to sell an item which has an incubator on it. That's pretty cool too. Quest rewards. So this is all the Cobra Lash, Blood Rage. Oh wait, what? Added Blood Rage as a quest reward for the Duelist, Ranger, and Shadow for completing. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think they've moved a couple around. I don't know if this will affect racing or not, but kind of go ahead and skip over that for now. PvP changes. Need people do PvP? No. Okay, they've redone the calculation for PvP there. Kind of interesting. Mind skills now use, okay, so Scorching Ray now has a time override of 0.2 from 0.5. A bunch of bug fixes. Normally nothing too crazy here. I just hope that if there was anything really affecting anybody that it is dealt with. But recently added raised zombies have a base cooldown of 4 seconds for their slam attack from 5. Cool. Well, that is all of those notes. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped for this actually. Again, not so much the mechanic of the league, but just all the changes. I really just want to play and just kind of experience the new stuff. I like it. So I can't wait for Friday. Be good. But anyway, that's going to be it for the patch notes. I might do a TLDR version, and hopefully get to 2 more build guides somehow tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off, but we'll see. Also, tomorrow, I might do a passive tree video. See if I can get all that done. I doubt it. I'll only get the passive tree video and that's about it. Still want to do my scorching ray video and my freezing pulse, but who knows? Maybe I somehow find enough time to get all that done. But we'll be doing a video on the gyms next, so that'll be up as well. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace.